and welcome to the Paws Up preview, the final Paws Up preview for FIU football. I'm guessing the final one for 2025, as the FIU Panthers are one win away from literally one of the best seasons in recent memory, as they look to take down UTSA in the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl in Dallas, Texas. Oh, Kevin, we've come a long way since getting ready for Bethune-Cookman to start this season. And thank gosh we got some extra football to keep us satisfied here as we get ready for the 26th. Are you getting a little emotional now that we're at the tail end of the football season? I mean, one game to go, man, for all the marbles.
Yeah, one more to go. I'm excited. First Responder Bowl, FIU and UTSA, two conference foes. Former conference foes. So it should be a fun one. FIU 1-0 against the American, as Willie Simmons noted on Tuesday when he did his press conference. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This one should be a good game. We'll see who's in, who's out. I think that's the bigger thing, unfortunately, with the world that we live in today with the transfer portal and NIL. But I'm excited regardless of who's on the field, off the field. I think it'll be a great game, and it'll be a good opportunity for this FIU team too. You said one of the best in recent memory. I would say one of the best seasons in program history. Probably the second best in program history.
Mm-hmm. And it can only go up next year.
You can make the case for what the year they won a share of the Sun Belt.
Yeah.
Maybe the year was that the year they also won the Little Caesars Bowl, the first ever bowl game? It would probably be the third best.
Bahamas Bowl, and
I would have to say it's right behind the Bahamas Bowl if they do pull this one off, because that FIU team did win 9 games. So, but then, I would say this is one of the best seasons in program history is how I would put it.
It's got to be up there, Kevin. So how did this season Kevin, how did we get here? I think is a good question. Let's take you back to a simpler time before we beat Florida Atlantic. What happened before that? It's a loss to Penn State. Now, as we would turn out, it's maybe not as crazy as it would seem considering what happened with Penn State, but we were in the midst of the non-con 1-1 at the time. We obviously beat our FCS team. We got to our first real game, the first real game that could show where this FIU team stands in the world of Group of 5 football. It was the FAU game, Kevin. And we wiped the floor with them in the third quarter. It was an awesome win. Shootable Bowl trophies ours. Already, Kevin, you have a marquee win, something that we haven't had in years. We already had one week 3 of the college football season.
Yeah, you kind of noted it. Start of the season, big win against Bethune-Cookman. Go to Penn State, put up a really good effort. Although it was 10-0 at the half. That was when that Penn State team was fully healthy. And the number 2 team in the country with James Franklin as their head coach. Still a very tough opponent nonetheless at Beaver Stadium. Not an easy game, but unfortunately not the result they wanted, but still a really good effort and showed that this FIU team's for real and they're here to play, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Then you come back home for the Shula Bowl. It was a big game, favored by just a tad bit, but still it was a big, big game. I mean, this was a game that could sway your season, and that's exactly what it was, right? Because we'll talk about the conference stretch of the season, which wasn't great to begin, but FIU really got a big win in the Shula Bowl, cementing themselves back to this being a real rivalry, making the FAU fans cry back to Boca and claiming the trophy. And now in a good situation where next year you have an opportunity to keep the trophy in FIU, in Miami at FIU. And, that was a fun game. It was a big game for KJ Owens, if you remember, who was named the Shula Bowl MVP. So
Making who cry? Not Florida Atlantic.
Them.
There you go. And then you had all this momentum after the Florida Atlantic win. You take on Delaware. This little team coming out of FCS, some conference no one remembers. We should wipe the floor with them. They didn't. And then they went to UConn and got humbled there too. That was a dark – if there was a dark time of this season, that was it. Those back-to-back losses, and then you had Western Kentucky coming up. Not to mention the inexplicable bye weeks before and after the UConn game, which I still don't love, but
it helped though. It helped.
It did help, but it left you with some paranoia that if FIU doesn't get it around before they take on the number 1 team in CUSA, Western Kentucky, this season might already be down in the dumps before we really get into the meat and potatoes of the season. That was a bad time.
Yeah, prior to the season, I was telling myself it always happens with every coach, every team. Every first-year coach at FIU, not FIU, at any school, right? You're always going to have a game where you're going to get humbled. And it was bound to happen. The vibes were high. They were riding this FAU win. Like, regardless of the loss against Penn State, you still felt like, really good after that game. The BCU win, it was their first win in program history against them, despite, obviously the gap in facing them for a long, long time. But you go and look at that and you tell yourself, man, like, we're going to beat the crap out of Delaware. Like, we're going to destroy them, get humbled. I don't think that was the humbling game. I think the humbling game was honestly the UConn game, where you still felt somewhat good about that game, where you're like, all right, like Delaware was a tough game, tough loss, but still you showed some things that could translate over to the UConn game. You go to that UConn game, and that was terrible. From start to finish, by far the most disappointing performance of the season, I would say. It's definitely up there. I think there's one more game that tops it, and we'll talk about it in a bit. And you know which was I'm talking about. That was a bad game by FIU. From start to finish, obviously Dwight Nuno, who unfortunately has not played ever since, gets concussed, gets taken in a stretcher to a hospital, and I really think that's what screwed over that game. No Brian Blades for that game either. He was out for the UConn game with an injury, with a foot injury. So tough situation there for FIU. And we'll go from there.
I didn't need to see FIU get humbled twice in a season, Kevin. That's just kind of the way it sort of panned out. And then optimism was at an all-time low this season after that, because you're going to Western Kentucky, Bowling Green, a place that has given you nightmares, but you pull it off. No one gives FIU a fighting chance, not even us. But they prove everybody wrong, and you're thinking, oh my God, we just took down the number one team in CUSA on the road, and what's coming up? Vice night against Kennesaw State. Optimism is high. We can be one of the top teams in CUSA, and then they drop another bad loss. And then they do it again on the road the week after to Missouri State. And throughout all this time, you have quarterback injuries riling up. You have multiple guys coming in between Kewan Jenkins and Joe Pizanski. And after that Missouri State loss, it felt like November had to be the month where the Panthers had to prove themselves to not just get into a bowl game, to match their win totals, to at the minimum get 4-8. They had to play their best football, but and obviously they did. But before that, we were feeling again very nervous, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Western Kentucky game, I'm pumped. Like, that was awesome. I was there. Yes. That was my first road game of the season for me. That was phenomenal. That was a good time. Good win. Huge win. Western Kentucky didn't score a touchdown. They were riding on a big high. I think vibes were pretty low during those 24 hours before. Like, you kind of went in there like, man, this is Western. Western destroyed you 73-0 last time you were there. But, man, FIU played one hell of a game. That was the Keyshawn Owens legacy game. Almost 200 yards rushing. He was awesome that game. It was a phenomenal game. One of the biggest, longest plays from scrimmage for FIU in program history in that game. It was a good game. It was a good time to be a Panther fan. Josiah McGrew with 2 interceptions. You also had Mr. Clark with it. I think Mr. Clark had the 2. Josiah had 1. That was a fun night to be an FIU fan. Kewan Jenkins didn't break out, but he certainly bounced back. And he got hurt in that game. And, that bled into Vice Night. Kewan was a go for Vice Night. Played the entire game, but unfortunately just couldn't do it. That, in my opinion, was the most disappointing game of the season against Kennesaw State. Then he got out to a really slow start. Couldn't get it going. And, just unfortunately never got it going against Kennesaw State, who ended up being the conference champs. So, tough one there. And then you go to Mo State. You feel somewhat good. But at that point, you're what? 2-3 and 3-4.
Yeah.
So, you're looking at it like, damn, this is really a must-win, because you go to Murfreesboro after that, and you don't really know. Like, Middle Tennessee, not very good, but, and then you still have to play Jack State, Liberty, and you go to Sam Houston. Yeah. So you don't know what the rest looks like. And you drop that one to Missouri State on national TV. That one was certainly another disappointing performance. Mm-hmm. Kewan was hurt. Joe Pizanski had to come into that game. Looked good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Led a TD drive, and then unfortunately the defense just wasn't able to hold up there. And that was another disappointing game. I felt like that was a game that they should have won.
Yes.
Still not the there were a couple of disappointing games. And I'll ask you this: which one do you think was more disappointing, the Vice Night loss or the Missouri State loss? I think both of them were very disappointing. maybe I'll give the edge to that Mo State game where you felt like you should have won that game.
Yes.
They kind of flopped a little bit towards the end of the season. And they played, I mean, we're recording on December 18th. They played today in the Xbox Bowl without Ryan Beard.
Xbox Bowl. Yes.
Ryan Beard wanted to go to Coastal.
They were 3-5, by the way, following the Missouri State game. It's the Missouri State loss that I think was the worst loss this season, because every other loss, double-digit L to Kennesaw State, as it would turn out, that third quarter was diabolical. And then Penn State, Delaware, UConn, they were all blowouts, so you just have to take it on the chin. That one, it felt like, yes, again, it was on the road, but that was a game that FIU really should have won. But little did we know, Kevin, that would be the last time FIU would lose a game this season. Willie Simmons said, they only care how you finish a college football season. They only care how you play in November. Well, FIU went undefeated in the month of November, shelling Middle Tennessee, skating by Liberty in overtime, giving the business to Jacksonville State, and then a laugher against Sam Houston to close out the season. What were some of the storylines from those games? Joe Pisanski blossoming in 3 out of those 4 games. The second half adjustments proving critical in every single game, again, except for Sam Houston. And this group coming together and creating an identity for this FIU football program that they are not one to be trifled with. And Willie Simmons proving himself right, that the best football that this team should play should be in the month of November, Kevin. And that's exactly what they did to get to where we are now.
That was a fun stretch of football. FIU put up 173 points in that 4-game stretch, which is the most in Conference USA. And I would bet to say it's the most up there for the most in the country. So fun 4-game stretch. Joe P absolutely balled out. I think the guys really just rallied around him, if I'm being totally honest with you. That Liberty and Jack State game, those games were some of the most stressful watches I think we've had, especially the Liberty game, because Jack State, you kind of figured, man, they would maybe mount a comeback, but it was a little bit tough. FIU got out and right away just showed that they were the better team that day. Stopping Cam Cook, doing well against him, but the Middle Tennessee State game and the Sam Houston State game were fun. Were fun games. 56 points in those 2 games. That was just an all-around great day for the guys, and Alex Perry really dominated that Sam Houston game. And the day that they clinched the bowl was probably one of the greatest days at FIU. That was insane. To do it against the best team in the conference, too, an undefeated team in the conference in Jacksonville State, that was just so fun to watch and such a good time. And, you're glad it happened at Jacksonville State, because Sam Houston would have had a little bit more motivation than they did to really get it going. But FIU clinches a winning season, 7-5, to finish out 2025 or the regular season, securing another winning season for Willie Simmons. He's still a head coach who has not had a losing season as a head coach.
Goated.
Continue to be a stud there in that case. And now we go to the First Responder Bowl in Dallas, Texas, to take on UTSA.
What a crazy season. By the way, the fan support this season was absolutely awesome. Seeing I always find it fun, Kevin, before a game when people walk up to us and recognize us being like, hey, man, we enjoy your content. So many people did that this season. We of course, got to partner up with alumni to host our preview for the Liberty game at the Roar Lounge for homecoming. So many other great moments, obviously, taking photos with the Shula Bowl trophy, Kevin. Taking photos in front of the Jumbotron saying "Bull Bound" after the Liberty win. And what were some other modes? Thugger! Young Thug becoming, I guess, a mascot for FIU athletics. The best rapper to represent a South Florida college football team, Kevin. Don't at me. And of course, all the spicy memes, all the content that we've been able to do this season, Kevin, I'll always harken back to the Boca is bad.mp4 video. That's some legendary.
That was cool.
Some legendary type ish right there. And so that's how we got here to the First Responder Bowl in Dallas, Kevin. Now, how's FIU entering this game? Well, Kevin, the transfer portal is the transfer portal giveth and the transfer portal taketh away, Kevin. The problem is it's taken players away at possibly the worst time It could, right before a postseason game, Kevin. So just talk about where FIU stands with some guys that are lost and the depth this team has to plug in at least as many holes as they can.
Yeah, at the moment, what has been reported is FIU has lost the following: Josiah McGrew at safety, Mr. Clark, who was the nickel, Victor Evans at corner, Daniel Michelle, who entered the portal but is out due to injury at the offensive line position. So those are the four that have been reported and we can report. I would assume we're recording this on the 18th. I do know of some player that will be entering. But again, we can't mention that
The
until
Red Schnappa, no.
Oh yeah, he is out. He is out too. I forgot. Braden Staten, the tight end, he's also out for the bowl game. He has decided to retire from football, as Willie noted. But yeah, if you thought it was bad for FIU, man, UTSA seems like they're down into dumps. But it doesn't seem like they've lost really anyone notable. They still have their quarterback, still have their receiver, still have their running backs. So I think they're fine. We'll see. But yeah, no, tough losses for FIU. I would expect it to be Websley Etienne to start at safety alongside Shamir Sterling, who I do expect to be back. It's either going to be him or Demetrius Hill. At cornerback, Ashton Levels is going to get the start in place of Victor Evans. It's going to be G7, Javion Celestine at the nickel, if I had to guess. And then at the other cornerback spot, assuming we'll see what happens with Brian Blades, if he gets another year or not, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
You're looking at Blades starting potentially that bowl game, which is huge for FIU. But if it's not him, I mean, you're going to look at a Jack Thompson, Preston Thompson, who has not played a lot. So I'll be curious to see what that looks like. Thankfully, the rest seems to be set. And my understanding is that no other players will enter before the bowl game. If anything, the guys that are out will be due to injury. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, no, tough for FIU. Tough for UTSA too, because UTSA's lost a lot of players from my understanding. But yeah, I know we have some quotes from Jeff Traylor, UTSA's head coach, and Willie also talking about the portal and that whole situation. And it's tough. As a group of 5 team, it's extremely tough, regardless of how you slice it. And unfortunately, I wish there was a way that this could be avoided so everyone could play in the bowl game. But at the end of the day, it comes down to money, Jake, and this is a business. This unfortunately has turned into a business. I don't know if you've noticed this. College football teams are announcing contract extensions.
Like I was just going to say that it's so weird.
Deals. Like you see the videos, like the photos of the Dolphins players signing their contract with the TV logo on the back. Like I think USC's doing that. Like that's the world we're in right now. Like it stinks. I hate it, but unfortunately that's where we are. And you know what? Players do deserve to get paid. I just think there should be a way. There should be a way that the team that had the player found the player. For example, FIU found Josiah McGrew. Like he should have the opportunity to play this bowl game. They wanted to play. They were given the opportunity to play. I want that to be very clear. Yeah. They decided to opt out of the bowl game. FIU did not cut them off. They decided to opt out of the bowl game and explore other opportunities, which FIU fully supports and wishes them nothing but the best. But I think it needs to be noted before people start thinking FIU did not give them the opportunity. They most certainly did give them the opportunity. Willie noted it in the press conference, but he said that agents are telling these players to not go play. And that's a big issue. And that's one of the main reasons why I think this needs to be the main topic of this bowl game as we go into it before analyzing the X's and O's.
Now let's hear from our glorious king, Willie Simmons, to see his thoughts on everything entering this game in a pretty quick 2-minute soundbite here.
Yeah, I think the growing trend in college football now, because of the portal window being right after the bowl season, is for a lot of guys to opt out due to trying to maintain as much earning potential as possible. You play in a bowl game, and God forbid you get some type of injury, you may limit your opportunities to go in the open market. And most of these guys have agents, and these agents talk to them about those things. I think the student athletes, for the most part, want to play. The conversation that I've had with all 3 of the opt-outs, they would have loved to play. But they get advice from people that they're paying to represent them that it's in their best interest to not play and to not risk injury and create the most earning potential for them. And again, we respect that decision. We understand that's the nature of the beast in today's climate, and it's a great opportunity for other guys to really step up. Ashton Levels, a guy that started the season as a starter and then kind of got in the doghouse a little bit, play some special teams, he'll get the starting nod, in Vic's place. So great opportunity for Ashton to finish his season on a high note. Jack Thompson, a guy that has not played a whole lot, gets an opportunity to play some nickel, with Mr. Clark being out. Great opportunity for him. Demetrius Hill, Webster Etienne, Antonio Patterson. Those guys came into the season with high hopes, and we had very high expectations of those guys. And then Josiah McGrew came in and took that spot and ran with it. But now that he's out, those guys have a great opportunity as well. So, again, you can look at it from a negative. We lost 3 starters in the secondary. Or you can look at it as the same as they were injured, next man up mentality. And those guys have prepared all season, the ones we just alluded to. And I'm looking forward to seeing them get out there and compete at a high level on the 26th.
The transfer portal, man. I mean, I like it when the Dr. Pepper Fansville commercials make it seem all fun and games, being about the transfer portal. But it is nutty how college football was already a business, right? But this is taking it to new levels with how these players signing these deals. And I wish in a perfect world this could all happen after the bowl game, but it's the world we live in, Kevin. College football is weird right now. It's not even just NIL. It's realignment. It's all this crazy stuff. It's the playoff controversies. Oh, but I love it, Kevin. And I'm gonna. This offseason is going to be long.
Yeah, not much more to say.
Mm-hmm. Before we get into the soundbite for UTSA, we do have to address the elephant in the room, Kevin, or should I say the panther in the cage? Because who the hell's starting at quarterback for the FIU Panthers? Well, Nick Coleman at least gave us a teeny tiny bit of insight. Paws Up podcast legend, by the way. So let's hear from Mr. Coleman.
Yeah, well, they've really both been injured coming out of the last game, and both Ben Hill and actually the later date was good for us from the quarterback standpoint. It was really good for us to be able to get those guys back. Joe is awesome. He came out in some new bright Biscayne blue cleats today. They're custom made for his injury and things like that. And I was like, Joe, you ain't never had drip like that the whole time you've been here. So he come out looking good today, but he's slowly getting back into it. Lights is on kind of a pitch count type thing going on right now with his injury deal, and both of those guys are trending in the right direction. Last week it's been some more. Joe's getting some more scaly. Lights is getting some different things in team periods, but Lights is kind of on the pitch count. Joe's kind of on a lower body count type thing. So within that, it's been good balance. Be able to get some young guys some reps and do some things. But their rep count has went up and up as the game goes. And I expect them both to be healthy and be ready to play. And we got to really see how the next probably 5 days go from a health standpoint, because neither one of them have done any full speed football stuff yet, to be honest. So we'll see it as it goes and see how they get better. But they're all both trending in the right direction. The timing of the game really helped from that.
How many legends do we have here at FI Football? It's crazy. So, all right, Kevin, you have obviously Jenkins with his ribs. You have Pazanski with his foot, and you have
I don't even know what's going on with Kewan, to be honest with you.
Kewan going on with a lot. Pazanski with his foot, and you have Zachary Waters just being an awesome dude. But I have to ask you, on the count of 3, if assuming everyone's healthy, who do you want starting this game? 1, 2, 3. Joe Pazanski.
No Pazanski.
And that's not a knock on Kewan. I'm not going to be mad at.
Although I will say, will he address this? Because Walter Veal of the Miami Herald asked, right now, if the game was today, who would you start? He said Clayton Dees. So that just shows you how far behind these guys are in terms of getting back on the field. So I think you see a situation where Clayton Dees is back in 2020, is potentially starting this game. You could only hope that both of them are healthy enough to play. But what was noted was that Kewan and Joe, there's a world where they're both on the field to begin the game. That's a legit possibility. So curious to see what that looks like.
And
but Willie said it. There's a possibility where he could throw both of them out on the field at the same time. And we saw that with Jacksonville State a couple times this year. So I'm curious to see if Willie kind of took that away from that or where that comes from. But Willie likes to have trick plays. We know that. He's used a lot of them this year.
Yes.
So we'll see. I'm curious to see what happens.
I just cringed there when you said Clayton D's, Kevin. Nothing on D's, but like, come on, man. I guess
no, you clearly want to win the game. You want to win the game, but if that's where you got to start, that's where you got to start, right?
I'll give the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl some slack, some credit here. No, do I like that it's in Dallas? No. Do I like that it's in the day after Christmas? No. At least the fact that it's still like 8 days away. It's giving FIU a lot of time to heal. It's giving Pizanski. And
wait a minute, what's the problem that it's in Dallas?
Because it's a lame seat. Could have been in Orlando last night.
I will tell you this right now. I don't give a where this bowl game is.
It could have been in New Orleans.
I don't care where it is, Jake. I just care that we have a game and we're in a bowl game.
Yes.
Obviously, travel-wise, date-wise, it would have been much better if it was in Boca Raton.
Yes.
Or if it was in New Orleans. But I don't care where this bowl game is.
Interesting stuff there, Kevin. You make a fine argument. Still, it's in Dallas. Like Dallas, New Orleans. We can say, Kevin, we're going to Bourbon Street tonight. We can't do that now. We're gonna eat
Dallas. You're going to do. You can do stuff in Dallas. I've seen their travel plans.
You want to go to the rodeo, huh? Yeehaw!
They're doing a lot of stuff in Dallas.
Speaking of yeehaw, we have we have a Texas team to talk about in a bowl game based in Texas. Why did we draw the wrong side of this? Of this double-edged sword?
That does suck too. That does suck that we did get UTSA, who will probably bring out a lot of fans.
Mini buses. It's like what I think they said a 5-hour drive from San Antonio to Dallas. About five and change. So
I'll tell you exactly right now.
Granted, the Roadrunners, while you're doing that, the Roadrunners are 6-6, and you're thinking like, kind of middle of the pack. Well, yeah, they are middle of the pack in the American Athletic Conference. Or just the American. But Kevin, this was an excelente year for the American. A lot of great teams that are coming out of the American this season. North Texas, South Florida, ECU was great. Navy.
4 hours and 16 minutes.
How, what's the most comparable team FIU has taken on this season to UTSA as far as their overall style? They're middle of the pack in the American. They don't do a lot of things exceptionally, but they are a sort of jack of all trades kind of team, at least to me.
Comparable? I don't know. I really don't know. I would have said Jack State, but they passed the ball quite a bit, and they have a really good quarterback.
McCown.
I guess Mo State, if I had to put a comparison to it, but like a really good Mo State team. I mean, UTSA beat the CFP team, man. They beat Tulane and handedly. Like it was not a close game. They went up against Texas A&M. They played up a good game against Texas A&M. Unfortunately for UTSA, their big issue has just been playing on the road, which is an issue FIU's had for a couple of years now. UTSA went 2-4 on the road. They're a really good home team, and they went 6-6 overall, 4-4 in conference play. They lost to some teams that they should have beat, like losing to Temple, lost to North Texas, who they probably could have beat. It was a close game at the beginning. This was supposed to be one of the best games of the season. Lost to USF and then lost to Army. So they've lost some games that they probably could have won or they could have kept close.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like a 6-6 team in the American is no slouch. No matter how you put it. And that's what I've been telling people. That's what I've been telling people. But as we're going to show you guys in a bit here, this video, this is going to look like a little bit of a different UTSA team. And I'm curious to see who's out and who's in for them specifically. We know who's more or less out because of what's been put out online. But I'm curious to see if their quarterback's going to play, if their running back who's an 1,000-yard rusher is going to play, their receivers, are they going to play? Are they going to have their best defensive players on the field? Like, what is this going to look like for UTSA? And I'm really curious to see that. And I think we'll have a better answer of that maybe going into the game week. But at the moment, I really don't know what it looks like.
No glaze, but the American was really good this season in football. Case in point,
the amount of coaches that they did, there's a reason why.
They have a team in the CFP, man. Like, come on. Their quarterback, Owen McCown, is the son of Josh McCown. Kevin, he spent a cup of coffee with the Miami Dolphins, Kevin. Josh McCown, dude. Like, come on now. Let's get serious here. This team, I feel like it's a jack of all trades team that when they're playing at home in the Alamo Dome, they're a damn tough team to beat. Case in point, the team that's about to play a CFP game, I think on Saturday, Kevin, Tulane, they kind of got mollywopped by him. Like, damn, this UTSA team is great. But Kevin, we've been alluding to it. Now we can talk about it. Like, listen, we have single digit problems as far as players opting out of this game, right? It's going to be nutty how many players are not going to be playing for UTSA due to the portal / injury / NIL / whatever the hell. I'll let the head coach of UTSA take it away here, but get ready to hear this.
Jeff, we're seeing a little bit more movement with guys intending to hit the portal. What have those conversations been like? Do you have a number that you think of guys you'll lose?
Yeah, we're going to be high. It's going to be high. We'll be a shell of ourselves, but whoever we got out there, we're going to go out there and play the best we can. It's just the number's so big with all the tampering, all the agents, it's coaches too, it's all of them. Our kids are being numbered they're being promised such incredible numbers. They're getting lured into the portal. I just hope all the things those coaches and the agents are promising they're going to do for my kids. I really hope so. And I hate it because I really want to coach them in a bowl game, but they're getting leveraged out of it. Their agents are telling them that they got to not play in the bowl and they'll get this number if they don't play in the bowl. So it's ridiculous. I hate what's going on with college football.
Is that more so they changed the window to one window now? Is that like an unintended consequence that they moved up and now that's impacting? Because it seems a little bit more movement than we've seen in the past from your guys.
I just think the numbers just gotten so large. You're talking about teams that have $26 million to $40 million, and the number's just too big. And who knows if they're being told the truth? It's sad. It really is sad. I never thought we'd be, punished for making a bowl game by being leveraged. That if you don't give them this certain number, they're not going to play in the bowl. But I'm going to celebrate the kids we have left. Whoever that is, we're going to go out there and play our tails off. And I'm very grateful for them. And again, I hate it that we're talking about the 10 to 15 that probably are not going to play in the game, or 20, whatever that number ends up being. We should be talking about the 90 to 85 that are going to go play with their teammates.
Did he say 20, Kevin? Did he say 20? Players might not play in that game for UTSA. We're going to get a brand new team. It's hard to analyze what this team's going to be because it looks like we're going to get a brand new team here, Kevin.
Not brand new, but certainly a lot of new names that UTSA probably hasn't seen, or their fans haven't seen a lot of this season. I think one of the more recent guys who entered, UTSA defensive back KK Meyer, we'll say that, entered the portal, and he was UTSA's. He had 25 total tackles, started in 10 games. He was a good player. I mean, 5 passes deflected. Seemed like they still have some of their guys, though. Shad Banks Jr., Jimmy Wyrick, Kendrick Blackshear, and then obviously you noted it, Owen McCown, 2,700 passing yards, 27 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. Rushing yards, they have a 1,000-yard rusher of their own. Robert Henry, 1,045 yards, 9 TDs. He averages 95 yards a game. And then on the receiving side, you have a couple good receivers, Devin McCoy and AJ Wilson, both over 500 yards receiving. So they've got some solid players on this UTSA team regardless. They're a really middle of the pack team in the American, though. Like, you look at their numbers, and I was kind of looking at this, like scoring, they're the fourth scoring offense in the conference. They're the 7th total offense in the conference. And then defensively, they're 6th. Rushing, they're the 10th rushing offense, but they're good at stopping the run, 7th in the conference. Remember, this is a 14-team conference. Passing offense, they're 6th. Passing defense, they're 5th. So they're a very middle of the pack team in the American, but against the Conference USA team, they're pretty up there, right? So this is a good team regardless of how you slice it. A 6-6 team, they're a good team. And I think it needs to be noted really, really quickly, FIU is the designated road team. UTSA is the designated home team, which, I mean, regardless of what you said, even if FIU was the home team, like, who cares? Like, this is a home game for UTSA. And by the way, a very nice stadium. The Gerald Ford Stadium, the SMU Stadium, pretty nice. And for what it's worth, Miami lost there. So maybe.
Is it going to be cold?
I think it is. I was looking at the temperature. It's going to be like in the 60s, 70s around kickoff.
Hey, everybody. We hope you are enjoying the Paws Up preview so far. It's time to get into our opponent for the First Responder Bowl, none other than the UTSA Roadrunners. And with me to talk a bit about the University of Texas at San Antonio is none other than the Hail Married podcast. I can't thank you all enough for stopping by and talking some Roadrunner talk. How are y'all doing?
Doing great.
Great, man. We can't wait to get up to Dallas and then be able to watch this game.
Oh yeah, that's right. You two are making the trip off. It's like what, a 5 hour and change. I would assume from San Antonio to Dallas.
Yeah, just making a couple stops here and there, but yeah, it's going to be a nice, easy drive up there. I say easy, but once you start getting into it, you're going to be like, I'm going to be complaining. So
yeah, well, Jeff Traylor's been the head coach at UTSA for a while now, and he's put together some solid seasons in the past, but this has been a pretty wild one so far. It really has been up and down for UTSA, but there was I would say a high that really stands out for UTSA this season, which of course was taking down Tulane, who would, as we all know, would go on to not just win the conference, but go to the CFP. So I want to ask you right off the bat, that win over Tulane was back on October the 30th. How similar/different is this squad from a health standpoint, from a game plan standpoint, even from a vibe standpoint, from then all the way to now?
That is a really good question, because honestly, I'm not sure they're too far off. Because first of all, it was a huge surprise that we took down Tulane.
Right.
If you really want to look at it, we had just been beat up by North Texas. We were coming back from the Metroplex, licking our wounds, and we come into the Dome where we hadn't lost since 2019 at home in a conference game. That took us through the CUSA years, kind of, so Traylor has built up something, and we thought it ends there against Tulane. It didn't. It actually kind of took us into the rest of the season, and, we got to Army and unfortunately finally lost a conference game. But, I think the biggest thing is just who's not going to be there. And you kind of mentioned it. Traylor has talked about them being a shell of themselves, but we're talking about they actually traveled 104 out of the 120 players. In previous seasons, we've seen them actually travel less than that because of the fact that we've had guys either opt out or just not be there, just not, wanting to take this trip. So I don't know that you're going to be missing a lot. It just depends on who's actually going to be able to play.
It's concerning what he talked about in the latest presser. He noted up to 20 people could be absent in this game between FI and UTSA. So I have to ask you, obviously you have some starters that for sure are going to play, but talk about the overall depth on the team and how ready do you think they're actually going to be if what the reports really are true, and this team's going to be missing a lot of the starters that Traylor said they might.
Yeah, a lot of the people that are opting out that we know aren't playing are on the defensive line. And while that might sound really bad, you got to remember that UTSA does a lot of rotation. Right. So because they're so deep on the defensive line, I'm not sure that it's going to have the impact that it might sound like it's going to have to an outsider. I think the area that really is probably going to be a bigger impact is in our secondary, much like what FIU is experiencing. Just because we've already been very thin on the secondary based on injuries this season. And so to lose two players in Davin Martin and KK Meyer, that's going to be kind of a little bit interesting to see, how UTSA recovers from that.
Yeah, with both defenses being so butchered, it feels like this could make for a pretty high-scoring affair between both of these offenses, and certainly UTSA has the quarterback to do that with Owen McCown. All you needed to tell me was that he's the son of Josh McCown, and I'm sold on what he can bring to the table with UTSA. But I feel like this really has been a special year for McCown and UTSA. I'd like to say that they're one of the top offenses in the conference, but this has been such a stacked year for the American as far as great conferences they've provided. So just talk a bit about the sort of the season he's had, the records I would assume that he's been able to put out there with UTSA, and how confident you are, since he is a junior quarterback, that you may or may not be able to retain him for one more season over at the Alamo Dome.
Yeah, well, I think it all starts with Owen McCown. You pretty much brought it up. I mean, the offense is going to go as your quarterback goes, and having that stability at quarterback really helps. Owen actually has had sort of a down year this year. He's had this kind of undisclosed injury that he's been nursing throughout the season. Last season, we saw him scramble a lot more. He hasn't taken off running as much. So that kind of added, I think, arsenal in his skill set is not there. So, it's going to be just a challenge for our offensive line to make sure that he doesn't get hit too much by this FIU defense. But really, I think where he has struggled at times has been passing wise. He has struggled to really at times find that open receiver or at least throw them open. And that's cost us in a couple of games. That's not to say that he's a bad quarterback. It's just, just had some challenging defenses and I think just some issues offensively, which I think kind of brings us to, I think, the X factor for the UTSA offense. As much as we want to say that Owen McCown is going to be that guy, and, obviously you said, will we keep him for another year? I think we will, just because of his relationship, his dad and he have with Coach Traylor. So we're not really worried about it. That's hasn't been anything that's come up, but the biggest X factor is going to be the offensive coordinator position. We lost Justin Burke. I think if you listen to some of the interviews, you'll realize that Justin Burke was actually let go by Coach Traylor, which was a surprise to all of us. We never thought that would happen, but it's exactly what's occurred. And we have a first-time play caller, Hunter Ritterman, who is going to be the one that's going to be calling the plays. And, again, you're kind of walking into a bowl game. We talked to you about a couple weeks ago, a week and a half ago, and we thought, well, we're going to have this first-time play caller, and we'll be all right. But as it's kind of gone on and you see sort of, some other guys missing, you start realizing this first-time play caller may be an issue, especially against a defense that has been pretty stout. What kind of adjustments will Hunter Ritterman make during the game? And I think that how he settles Owen into a game, how he gets them going. Justin Burke at times really struggled with that. And I think the staff struggled to get Owen going. So I think just whoever the play caller is, whether it's him or Jeff Traylor kind of sneaking in there a couple plays, I think that's going to be the key to UTSA's offensive proclivity here.
Regardless of how UTSA wants to handle the passing game, I feel like they're going to have a solid running game to fall back to between Robert Henry and Will Henderson III. It feels like that's a dynamic duo there as far as the run game goes in UTSA. Talk a bit about, at times how they've had to carry the offense and what you think that this running game is fully capable of, especially with the offensive line and how synergized they have or have not been at times this season.
Yeah, I think one of the other question marks we have right now is whether or not we'll actually see Robert Henry play. He's kind of had some nagging injuries towards the end of the season, and he's had limited snaps as we've kind of gone on. So it's likely that even though he's on the depth chart, we may not see him. Jeff Traylor is, famous for kind of keeping these things very close to the vest. So chances are we won't know if he's playing until we find out if he's warming up. But regardless of that, Will Henderson has done a great job. And there's kind of been this passing of the baton to Will towards the end of the season. So I'm not concerned about, what'll happen if you don't see Robert Henry, because I think Will Henderson is at that point where he's ready to pick up the bulk of the carries. He's definitely a very speedy guy. He's on the track team for UTSA as well. So you can see, if he gets through that second line, he can take off and, have that home run kind of run. But again, not really sure if we'll see Robert Henry or not.
Yeah, and we also have a Marion Peterson who'll be backing him up, and Bryson Donnell. They've all had different roles throughout the season. Obviously Robert Henry and Will Henderson have been the name guys, but really just looking at it, they're kind of interchangeable. So we're lucky to have that. And I think, you kind of asked about the offensive line. I think the biggest thing with the offensive line, while they performed really well this season, a lot of it's been because we've had some shorter, kind of quicker passes and just getting the ball out of Owen's hands. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. But, the less time that the offensive line has had to deal with opposing defense, the better this offensive line has looked. So, again, one of those things where you're kind of crossing your fingers and you have we're gonna have one guy I think missing, and Trevor Timmons, who had a nice role at the really about the back half of the season. But we'll see how that plays out. But we think that maybe I think it's Devron Williams will be taking that spot, and he's a young guy. So again, you're going into a game with some new players kind of taking new roles.
Right. Well, I think one thing FIU will be kind of sort of happy they won't have to really worry about is a mobile quarterback, which I don't think McCown really fits into that criteria. Regardless, he has the skill set passing wise to make up for that. Now let's switch on over to the UTSA defense. You already mentioned it. Might be hurt with a lack of players here, but even before that, against some of the top talent in the American, they've been susceptible to giving up a large amount of points, but they've also held their own in some of the other members of the American, such as Rice and Charlotte, for example. So just talk a bit about where the defense overall stands. We've really honed in on them giving up over 155 yards on the ground. Certainly seems like something that Keyshawn Owens and the FIU running game could be looking out for. How important do you think it'll be for UTSA to make up for that? Would you say this is the Achilles heel of the Roadrunners thus far?
Well, I think the thing is that they've racked up those stats against some tougher opponents. So you see a North Texas and a South Florida put up those yards, and that kind of skewed the stats. You then have them play someone like you mentioned, like Rice or Charlotte, and those aren't as great of teams, and so the average comes back down. So I think based on what FIU has, again, Andrew kind of talked about the fact that the defensive line depth might be a problem, but I think you got from an FIU standpoint, you have to watch out for our linebackers, Shad Banks and Kendrick Blackshire and Brandon Tucker. Those three have been kind of interchangeable. Shad Banks has had an excellent year coming over here to us. And then Kendrick Blackshire has been here a couple years. But unfortunately, injuries have kind of nagged him at the end of the season. So we'll see if he actually is able to suit up. Otherwise, like I said, Brandon Tucker can come in. And if those guys are making plays, I think FIU is going to hate hearing their names over and over, because if we're able to get into the backfield or to stop that run, hopefully that gives us a good chance of prevailing.
Banks seems to be the do-it-all man on defense for UTSA, leading the squad in tackles and interceptions. A pretty rare duo, I would say. So we've gone over the offense and defense. Now I'd just like to ask about some of the wild card X factors that could play a role in this game, either both positively and negatively for UTSA. So I'll just ask you this. What are some of the biggest things that UTSA needs to try to excel at in this game and avoid doing to ensure they have the best chance of success?
Well, I think they're going to have to control the tempo. One of the things that this UTSA offense has been over the last couple seasons has been very quick in their tempo. But because we had a defense that we essentially remade this season, 11 new starters, you get put in a position where you want to play keep away. So that's what I think makes a little interesting matchup here with FIU, especially being ground-based. Do we play keep away from FIU or do we, up the tempo and see if we can catch FIU off guard? And like you said, you've got some injuries in the secondary, so that we could be able to offensively take advantage of that. So that's going to be a key. Can we get that passing game going and maybe exploit that FIU secondary? I do think, though, that one of the bigger things probably is on defense is our secondary. I know you guys don't have the explosive wide receivers, but that doesn't mean that in a bowl game something can't happen. And we've seen some high-scoring games. So I think that if this secondary can't step up, then I think there's going to be some problems. And, one of the things we didn't mention with the defense was just the fact that you really don't have a lot of pass rushers. If Nana Onyewu is not getting to the quarterback, then we might be in trouble. For everything that Shad Banks is, he's not really a pass rusher. So trying to get pressure is going to be key here. But I think if you're going to look out for anybody, look out for cornerback Ahmad Chapman. He's got a chance to have a breakout game as a cornerback. And I think he's going to be the one that is going to be keyed on in this game.
Sounds good then. So I think I already know who you two obviously want to win and may or may not be picking to win this game. But I'll ask you this. Obviously, I'm expecting a pretty decent crowd from UTSA considering
Yeah.
the location of the bowl game. What would a win in this game really just mean for the UTSA program? That obviously, like many other schools in the Group of Five, trying to expand and have continued success. What would a win here for the coaching staff and a lot of these seniors, which I know UTSA does have quite a handful of those? What would it mean for them and for the program moving forward?
I think the big thing that's on the line right now is that Coach Traylor has never had a losing season in his career as a head coach. Now, as an assistant in college, that's different, but as a head coach in high school and both in college, he's never lost. So for him to lose this game and have a losing season, I think would be, a really big deal for him. So I think that's kind of the big thing that's on the line for the coaching staff, and the players, certainly want to end on a high note. They're very disappointed in the way the Army game ended. We lost that home winning streak in the Alamo Dome. And, I think they are really looking to try to redeem themselves and kind of build some momentum going into next year.
Can this team play in cold weather?
They can play in cold weather at times, but it's not going to be cold. So It's actually going to be one of the warmest, or maybe the warmest bowl game that we've had. So it'll be interesting to see how they can play in this kind of weather, because again, we've had lots of cold bowl games, but we really haven't had a bowl game that's been in the 70s.
That's music to my ears then, as far as not having a super frigid game. Okay.
Yeah, that might actually benefit FIU more than us.
Right. And if it starts to rain, you can't wait to see what the bag of trips the Panthers will pull out. But again, thank you two so much for spending some time hopping on. If you could let the FIU faithful know where they can follow you two, and of course the Hail Mary pod, to see how you all are planning this out yourselves, and how you might find a certain host of an FIU pod on your show to sort of delve into this what should be I should think a very fun game.
Yeah, absolutely. You can catch us on Hail Mary Pod on either Instagram and Twitter or Blue Sky. So, anywhere you look there, and those major ones, we're on there. But the big thing is, I think, is I'm looking forward to a great game, and especially having a chance to talk to you, Jake. I appreciate it having us on, because if we love anything, it's just loving to talk UTSA athletics. So thank you.
It's our absolute pleasure. So let's get it rolling back on to the remainder of this Paws Up preview, as Kevin and I are going over some pretty quick looks around Conference USA, and of course, making predictions for the First Responder Bowl. All right, time for a very brief look around Conference USA, checking in on our foes. Now, when was this recorded? 8 o'clock on Thursday, December 18th. We have a couple of bowl games, of CUSA bowl games done here, Kevin. So let's quickly look at them. Jack State takes down Troy. The Trojans were, I believe, winning for a while. Jack State climbs back in, even without Cam Cook, and they still get the job done in an all Alabama matchup in Montgomery.
Yeah, no, good for Jack State. It was a very close one at the end there. The Hail Mary almost actually came to fruition for Troy, which would have tied the game up unless they went for two. So good for them. And then good for Jack State. Undefeated in bowl season. Oh, no, not undefeated. They're 2-1 now in bowl season.
Yes. And then I don't know why they don't have the score on the website, but Delaware takes down the University of Louisiana. The Raging Cajuns made it interesting at the end. Final play, like at the 6-yard line or something, 6 or 7.
What was the final score?
Seconds to go. It was like, I believe it was 17-10. Was it not? It was or 20-13, I should say. Delaware over the Raging. One play left, like 2 seconds to go. Louisiana had a chance to score a touchdown, tie the game up, send it to overtime. It just wasn't meant to be in the Hens. Manu was talking about this earlier in the group chat, Kevin, how we should be supporting the CUSA teams winning the bowl game. No. Not this one. Not this one. Granted, it's
the only one where I won't support it.
I guess it's also funny now how we're 2-0 against Sun Belt teams, which, hell yeah. But yeah, come on now. We weren't doing that. So Kevin, there's still like 5 games to go, and we've picked 4 of them. I'll give you a sailor's honor here, Kevin. If you would like to change any picks that you've made between the Xbox Bowl, Myrtle Beach Bowl, New Orleans Bowl, and the Independence Bowl, say it now or hold your picks.
I think I took all CUSA teams, did I not? Except tonight, where we took. I think we both took Central Arkansas. Or Arkansas State, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yes. Or did we take Missouri State? I don't know.
I know I did not. I didn't take Missouri State.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I do know is that we're both 1-1 right now because we both got the Delaware pick wrong. So,
but you know what? You know what will always be correct? That we have a better roster.
Oh yeah, no, 100%, regardless of result.
Absolutely.
Oh no, not regardless of the result. We have to win to have a better record than them.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So I think we can get into a pretty big question here, Kevin. It's 3 words and it goes like this. Who will win the most important question asked here? I have a sim to run, but y'all are not gonna like it. Take a listen or look.
You know, there's no real reason to panic, but if you think about it, when does panicking ever really help? But certainly this was a bitterly disappointing outcome.
EA being Debbie Downers there, Kevin. No likey. Me no likey. So there's one more question to go here, and it's the last one.
You go first. Okay.
Well, I'm going to say the score of the game and the MVP of the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl. The score is going to involve, unfortunately, the FIU Panthers destroying the San Antonio Roadrunners. It's going to be beautiful. Here's the thing. We don't have to pay the Alamo Dome tax because we're technically not at the Alamo Dome. We're in Dallas. Cold weather be damned. This isn't the Dolphins we're talking about. These guys are ready to play in any weather conditions. Is going to run all over them. Give me the Panthers by a final score. Ooh, are you ready for this, Kevin? 42-28. Both teams are going to get their licks in on offense, but your MVP is going to be number 5. Your MVP is going to be an unstoppable force of nature in this game. And I have the Panthers bringing home the hardware. 2 trophies in one season, Kevin? Are you joking? I hope your pick is going to be as hype as mine, which includes both the who's winning, the score, and the MVP of the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl.
Up until today, I told myself UTSA would win this game. Clearly, I'm not making the pick that UTSA is winning this game. I think FIU will win. I think FIU will win by a final score of 28-13. The MVP of the game? Alex Perry. He's going to have a big game. Don't think it'll be a career high game, but he definitely will continue the touchdown streak going. So FIU dub 28-13. MVP Alex Perry.
All right, Kev, who is on the call for this game radio-wise? I know it's an ESPN game and all that, but maybe you want to listen to some FIU folk.
As you should. Corey Brooks as the play-by-play, and it'll be Nick Garrido as the analyst. So it should be a good one.
And Willie Simmons remarked, if you can't make it, they're going to have a watch party at the Chili's at GC there.
I don't know who's showing up to that, buddy. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Are you going Chili's the day after Christmas?
You are a sicko if you are, but I respect it if you are. And of course, Twin Peaks, Doral also, you can go watch it there. So
yes, sir.
The final Paws Up preview for the football season. It's been a fun run. And but it's not the last broadcast related to football because there will of course be the Paws Up watch party. One final watch party that you all can check out because it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun as we get to see potentially FIU bring home yet another trophy to MMC. The celebrations are going to be crazy. And we hope to be with you every step of the way. So for now, I'm saying so long. Enjoy the football going on. Bowl season is alive and well. Of course, you have the CFP too. It should be pretty fun. But until Friday, December the 26th at 8 o'clock from Gerald Ford Stadium, have a very happy holidays. Hopefully open up some presents, eat some delicious food, enjoy the nice weather. And of course, Paws!